There are two types of people in the world. The first type, when something breaks, a hinge, a relationship, a plan, a silence that's gone on too long, reaches for their phone. They open an app. They schedule someone. They outsource the discomfort and call it adulting. They move on quickly, cleanly, without ever touching the broken thing with their own hands. The second type kneels down in front of whatever broke. They press their thumb against the crack. They open the drawer, and you already know what's in that drawer. And they pull out a silver roll that looks like it was manufactured sometime during the Cold War, or a yellow can with a little red straw taped to its side. And they get to work. You are the second type. And the world has been trying to convince you that you're wrong about that for decades. Let's be precise about what we're actually talking about, because this isn't about tape and lubricant. It never was. Those two objects sitting in your garage, your truck bed, your kitchen junk drawer, they're not products. They're a philosophy. They are a compressed, portable declaration that the world is fundamentally fixable if you're willing to show up and do the uncomfortable, unglamorous, often thankless work of fixing it. And there is a specific kind of mind that believes this. Not naively, not with the blind optimism of someone who has never been humbled by a stripped bolt or a pipe that broke at 2 a.m., but with the earned, quiet confidence of someone who has been there before and came out the other side with grease under their fingernails and the problem solved. That mind is yours. The culture has a name for you. Several, actually. Stubborn. Old-fashioned. Overthinking it. Why don't you just call someone? And you've heard it so many times that you've learned to go quiet when you hear it. Not because they're right, but because explaining yourself to someone who has never felt the specific satisfaction of a seized hinge moving freely again, and that's a conversation that goes nowhere. You learned that a long time ago, so you say nothing. You go to the garage. You fix the thing. This is your first superpower, and most people who have it never stop to name it. The ability to tolerate the discomfort of a problem long enough to actually solve it. Psychologists call this distress tolerance, the capacity to sit with something broken, something uncomfortable, something that isn't working, without immediately trying to escape the feeling, without outsourcing the anxiety, without numbing it. Most people cannot do this. The data is clear. The average person will do almost anything to reduce cognitive dissonance quickly, even if the quick solution makes the underlying problem worse. They'll tape over the symptom. They'll ignore the warning light. They'll call someone else, not because that someone else is better equipped, but because having someone else handle it means they don't have to feel the weight of it anymore. You feel the weight. You carry it to the workbench. That's not stubbornness. That's a sophisticated psychological skill that took years to develop. Now here's where it gets interesting. Why these two things? Why across generations, across cultures, across countless different households and workshops and farms and garages? Why has this particular tribe of men converged on duct tape and WD-40 as their sacraments? The evolutionary psychologists would tell you it's not accidental. Human beings, specifically the subset of human beings who survived long enough to pass down their traits, were not the ones who specialized. They were the ones who adapted. The generalist, not the specialist, is the apex organism in unstable environments. And an unstable environment is, historically, the default condition of human life. Duct tape is the physical embodiment of generalist thinking. It was literally invented to keep ammunition cases sealed in World War II. It ended up on the moon. It has been used to repair aircraft, close wounds, build furniture, silence squeaky floors, and once, famously, keep a carburetor from killing someone on a back road in rural Georgia. It does not care what you use it for. It asks only one question: does the thing need to hold? WD-40 was engineered to prevent rust on Atlas missile parts. It became the thing you spray on everything that's frozen, seized, corroded, stuck, or groaning. It is, in its purest form, the antidote to entropy, to the slow, grinding tendency of all physical systems to seize up, corrode, and stop moving. The man who keeps both of these in his home is, on a subconscious level, making a statement about his relationship with entropy. Not today, not in my house, not on my watch. But let's talk about the threat, because there is one. It has a soft voice. It speaks in convenience. It says, why would you spend 2 hours on that when you could just pay someone $30? It says, there's an app for this. It says, you don't need to know how things work. You just need to know who to call. It says, your time is worth more than that. And an entire generation has listened to that voice. An entire generation has grown up without ever repairing anything, without ever understanding the objects around them, the pipes in their walls, the engine under their hood, the hinges on their doors. They live in a world of surfaces. Everything works until it doesn't, and when it doesn't, they feel a terror that is disproportionate to the problem, because the problem isn't just the broken hinge. The problem is they have no idea how anything actually functions. That terror is the price of outsourcing your competence. And here is the thing nobody says out loud. When systems fail, when all systems fail eventually, the man who knows how to improvise, adapt and repair with whatever's available is not just more useful. He is more psychologically stable. His sense of self doesn't depend on the infrastructure remaining intact. He can function in the gap. He has practiced functioning in the gap his whole life. The neuroscience here is not subtle. When you successfully repair something with your hands, your brain releases dopamine through the mesolimbic pathway, the same system involved in goal-directed behavior and reward processing. But more importantly, each successful repair incrementally strengthens your internal locus of control, the psychological construct that measures whether you believe you have agency over your life. Men with high internal locus of control show lower rates of depression, lower cortisol responses to stress, and higher resilience in the face of adversity. Not because life gives them fewer problems, because they have trained themselves to believe problems are solvable with what they have right now in the driveway before dinner. A roll of tape and a can of spray have been quietly building that belief system in you your entire adult life. There's a loneliness to this, and it would be dishonest to skip past it. The competent man often operates in silence. He fixes the thing before anyone notices it was broken. He prevents the crisis that nobody will ever know was coming. He absorbs the frustration of the stuck bolt, the rusted screw, the job that was supposed to take 20 minutes and took 3 hours. And he absorbs it alone, because explaining it would require explaining why it matters. And explaining why it matters would require a conversation about values that nobody around him seems to want to have. So he doesn't explain, he just fixes it. And in a world that increasingly mistakes visibility for value, where the loudest action is the most rewarded, where everything is documented, shared, reacted to, the silent fix is the most underrated act of service that exists. The family that slept soundly because the smoke alarm worked. The drive that went safely because the tire was properly inflated. The meal that was possible because the stove didn't give out. These are not small things made invisible by their success. They are large things made invisible by the man who prevented them from becoming disasters. So here is the manifesto, not because you need permission, but because it's worth saying plainly at least once. You are not out of touch. You are not behind the times. You are not wasting your time on something a professional could handle faster. You are practicing, in the most literal way possible, the ancient human skill of not panicking when something breaks. You are maintaining the one thing that no app can install and no subscription can provide, the deep, bone-level confidence that you can handle what comes. The duct tape is not a product, it is evidence that you showed up. The WD-40 is not a lubricant, it is your answer to entropy. Keep the drawer stocked, keep the can full. Keep fixing things. The world does not need more people who know who to call. It needs more people like you.